grab a cup of joe and gather round the hay bale with your hosts, Alicia from Country Mama Musings, Kacy from Ormsby Farms, Cayce from Boots and Bounty Homestead, Lisa from Yogi Hollow Farm, and Monica from Bland's Promised Land Ranch. Now, here they are. Hey, y'all. Hey. Hey.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Round the Hay Bale. I'm Alicia.
I'm Kacy.
I'm Kacy.
And I'm Monica. Welcome back to the Hay Bale. Today is Valentine's Day.
Yes, and with one of our things that we love being animals, we are so excited because we have Kacy Montana from WarAngel Farms here to join us on the hay bale. So that's exciting.
It is. And but before we get into that, how was everyone's week this week? Monica, how was your week?
My week was wonderful. It was birthday week, so we had no live on Thursday night, so it was a little weird. But it was really awesome because we got to spend the day. So we had a 12-year-old, a 22-year-old, and a 10-year-old this week. They all leveled up a year. And we had a really nice time. I was a little sad, though, because I missed my oldest was at home with his wife, and that was kind of bittersweet. But it was really fun. And it was really fun to know that his wife was taking really good care of him. She surprised him at work, and that was really fun. And we stayed busy with all the other things. I have the church stuff during the week. And so with birthdays, it always is a lot of work, but it is so much fun. So this week was really nice, just kind of hanging out and making it a family week. And of course, then we spent Friday evening with our friends and our family over at Yogi Hollow Farm and got to hang out and celebrate with Lisa as she had her live Friday night. So that was really fun. So yeah, my week was pretty good. How about you, Lisa?
It was fun and exciting. We had a few things happen that we were not too thrilled about, but I will get on my soapbox because I think it's important to know. We have a neighbor who likes to burn, and we know where this is going. Well, our property goes up and over the rocks, and of the large rock outcroppings that you guys see in our videos, and there's a lot of crevices in them. And so Ryan had just come back from the hardware store and fire was coming through the crevices towards the pigs. So we handled that situation. But why do I bring it up here? Burn responsibly, people. Please burn responsibly. High gusty winds and dry drought, and this person is burning and threatening my farm. Not cool. Not cool. So that's my soapbox. I'll let it go at that. A funny thing is though Ryan went up on the rocks with a bucket of water because there's no way we can get a hose there, and tossed it over the edge before he realized the person was down below. No, he didn't hit them. But it certainly got their attention, and we had a conversation about property lines and not threatening our farm. And of course, what was happening Sunday, they burned again. So we'll be moving forward with that. But other than that, little bit of excitement, thankfully, was not a near miss. I will say that it was not a near miss. We went ice fishing yesterday, and it was absolutely stunning on the lake. The winds picked up again, but it was just absolutely gorgeous to be out there and come home with a nice rainbow trout, and caught a lot of perch we had to put back. But it was just a really exciting, fun weekend. And I'm going to throw it on over to Lady Boots because I'm curious what you've been doing.
Well, this weekend we had 3 birthday parties for one person. Logan, of course, he has his friends over Saturday, and then Saturday night we have another birthday party when we're dancing, and then Sunday, yesterday for lunch, we had the birthday party lunch for the family for Emma and Logan, because Logan just had his Thursday, Emma's is next Monday. So we did like the once a month get together family and just celebrated their birthdays. And I get to do it all again in 2 weeks for Emma's birthday because we'll have her friends over and then we'll go dancing that night. So we just party all weekend for each of them. Other than that, it's been full speed on sewing this week. I just can't get out from under it because, like I've been saying, it's wedding season and I've got bridesmaids dresses rolling in and prom dresses and everybody's getting ready to party it out here coming April and May and June. And I still have my ceilings over here under the grow light. And funny enough, guys, they're 3 or 4 inches tall. I mean, like borderline needing to go outside. I have an aphid infestation in the house under my grow lights. And I am like, what the heck? But I thought about you, Lisa, because you were asking me about boiling soil the other day to sterilize it. And that may be where it came from, but this was new soil. So I did not boil it. And that's the only thing I can think of is they may have been living in that soil. And then whenever I planted all my seeds and stuff, they just kind of emerged with the warmth of the grow light. And like the bottoms of my leaves are covered, absolutely covered all the way down the stem. I've took them outside the last couple of days, being like in the 50s and 60s. And I set them all out in the sun. I covered them with DE, didn't touch them. So I think I'm fixing to have to spray everything down with soapy water and try that. And if not, 7 Dust will be next. I hate to do that, but I can't get rid of them. And I don't want to be feeding these critters in my house or out in the yard. So, so that was my week. I'm fighting the bugs over there under the grow lights. But other than that, what do you have going over there, Kacy, at Ormsby Farms?
That's crazy. That is crazy about the aphids. But I was just about to say, I'm so glad there's so many February birthdays because I have my birthday Tuesday.
Tomorrow.
It is tomorrow. Oh gosh. I'm
Happy
gonna be
birthday, Kacy.
Thank you. I'll be
Happy
21
birthday.
again for the 20th.
I was going to say, are you going to be 21 again, right?
Correct. Yes, correct. That's the age. But representing February birthdays. But our week was pretty kind of quiet as well. We went to the farm a couple times and we finally got up some dog fencing, thank goodness. And we're starting to get some electrical work done. So I see an end in sight. I see a move-in date. Finally, literally finally, I see a move-in date for the farm. And we did a video on our My Soil results. So yeah, that was pretty much our week in a nutshell. What about you, friend Alicia?
Oh, goodness. We had quite the week. I have done a whole bunch of canning. The countertops are just full of jars of beans. I've got beans everywhere. But I just want to say, though, Kacy, you see an end in sight, my friend. It's just the beginning. You're going to be busy with all kinds of wonderful things. So I know all 4 of us ladies were thinking that when you said that there's end in sight, it's the beginning. But one thing that we did this week that was really interesting that I wanted to share with all of you is we had 2 bald eagles sitting out in the tree right outside my kitchen window this week. And they stayed there for like a half an hour. And we're only talking 20 or 30 feet from the house at the most. So we were on eagle watch all week because we don't know, are they after my chickens? Are they just hanging out? They seem to be a pair and, they mate for life. And so they were just like Twitter-pated sitting up in the tree talking to each other. They weren't even looking at my chickens. They couldn't even see the chickens from this tree. They're just sitting there talking. And so when they flew away, we thought, well, that's it. Well, they came back yesterday. And that seems to be their new favorite tree. I think we have too much activity for them to actually build a nest up there, but they're hanging out there. And I think it's I'm going to look at that as a positive blessing in a spiritual type of way that I'm being visited by these bald eagles. But other than that, we just kind of hung out here at the house. We're homestead poor until payday. So we didn't go out and do anything for Valentine's Day, but I'm going to make a nice dinner for Papa Jim tonight. So that's what I'll be doing later on in the day, is planning that. But otherwise it was just canning and eagle watch all week. So that is what we did here on the farm. So, y'all, thanks for joining us here in the chat at Round the Hay Bale. We are shooting this episode live for podcast distribution. So the hosts, we're not going to be able to answer any questions from the chat.
So if you do have any questions, make sure that you tag a moderator and use the capital Q to ask your questions, and they'll get back to you as soon as they can.
We're waiting for Lisa. You're muted, darling.
Take two. To start our show off, we have Kacy from WarAngel Farm Rescue and Rehabilitation joining us for a Valentines style Q&A. But before that, Kacy took us on a quick tour of her farm. Let's take a look.
Struggle Bus Monday for us. Give us 1 second. We're going to try the video one more time. So we're going to try again after we chit chat with Kacy. So if y'all are enjoying the Struggle Bus, make sure to leave us a thumbs up here at the Hay Bale. We sure do appreciate it.
I'm finally unmuted. Oh, sorry.
Well, I just wanted to say, for more information on WarAngel Farms and how you can support them and donate, please visit our QR code on the screen. We'll try to get that video to you. I've seen it. It's really great. So stick around with us so we can see if we can get that video to you.
And y'all, not only does Kacy Montana own and run WarAngel's Farm Rescue and Rehabilitation with her mother, but Kacy graduated from KSU with her degree in management, music, and marketing, which is so interesting. We'll have to chat with her about that. While running the rescue, she works in entertainment for Intune Entertainment and American Roots Records as their social media marketer.
WarAngel Farms Rescue and Rehabilitation is a 501c3 equine and farm animal rescue specializing in saving horses and donkeys from the slaughter pipeline.
Kacy always says, it's amazing how God leads situations and people in your life that all string together to create your story. And he changes the desires of your heart accordingly. Not only does God give you a will and a way, he also sends others a will and a way to you.
So let's please welcome to Round the Hay Bale, owner and operator of WarAngel Farms, Kacy Montana. Woo!
Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Kacy.
Thank you.
Can I just point out first that we have Kacy, and the Hay Bale? I think the Kacys are taking over.
It's the Kacy trifecta.
Yeah, the Kacy trifecta for sure.
I like that they're all spelled differently.
Yeah.
They are.
And none of us can find our names on anything. We have to special order everything.
True.
Mine is always sold out, so don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in here and say that Kacy Montana, I don't know how we're going to differentiate. Kacy number 3, I was able to watch some of your videos last night, and I was just so moved, and it took me back to my day here on the farm when I was able to save some from the kill pen. It is wonderful work that you're doing. I know it is as we were discussing backstage, it's not easy work. It is so rewarding, but sometimes it is filled with heartache. And I'm not patting myself on the back saying it takes a special person to do that, but I know it takes a special person to do that. And I want to thank you so much for doing this for these animals. And as we're talking here, I know that you're sharing some really wonderful experiences with us.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it definitely, you have to have a heart for animals, and it takes a lot of, there's a lot of good moments and there's a lot of really stressful moments, but it's all, at the end worth it to give these horses a second chance at life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I saw that you brought home a mare that was exposed and with foal, and she delivered right there on your farm.
Yes, ma'am. There was actually 10 pregnant mares and a bunch of rescues got together to save them. And I picked out her. Her name's Rumor. They all died except 2 of them. She made it here to our farm. And then the other one made it to a friend's farm. And she held on to her baby a month longer than she was supposed to, just because she was getting nutrients. And we still have them both. They're very special to us, Rumor and Jubilee.
That is so sweet. That was the first horse I brought home. She was an exposed, confirmed, but we never got a foal.
Oh,
she was confirmed more than once, but I don't know if she just went off to a corner somewhere and delivered and something got a hold of it. She bagged up everything, but we never got a foal. But she lived with us for the rest of her natural life in a beautiful pasture and surrounded with love. And we did lose her a few years ago, but she didn't go that day in that kill pen. And I think that was the most important thing. So I can relate to what you're doing, and I appreciate it so much. And thank you for doing that for Jubilee and her mama.
Thank you.
So, Kacy, for those folks who are watching or listening to the podcast who may not be familiar with your organization, can you share a little bit about it to educate folks on what you're doing?
Yes, so we do a lot of different things at the farm, but our main focus is saving horses and donkeys from the slaughter pipeline. And what that means, for people that don't know, is slaughter of horses is illegal in the U.S. So what we have is pretty much brokers for the slaughterhouses that are in Mexico and Canada, and the brokers are kill pens, and kill pens are all over the U.S. So when people send their horse to an auction, you always want to think that, a family buys them, and a lot of times they do, or a ranch. But there's a lot of horses out there, and the ones that don't get bought, the kill buyer buys for meat price. And what we do is we go to the kill pen and we try to save the ones we can. So as long as you give them meat price for it, they don't care. They're making money either way. It's a business to them. They don't get attached to the horses at all. So we go in a week before they're supposed to ship. They ship them out every week, and we try to save the ones we can. And so we purchase them straight from them right before they get on the truck. And we've actually gotten some like 10 minutes before they've loaded on to the slaughter truck. So it's a lot of last minute fundraising, last minute stresses, trying to get everything together, and the horses and donkeys picked up and brought here. And they always arrive sick because they're thrown into these pens with a bunch of horses, and they're fighting, they're fighting for food, they're fighting each other, and they're just exhausted. So, I mean, most of the time we can save them and it all goes smoothly, but sometimes as soon as they feel they're safe, they go downhill.
What's the most that you have rescued at one time, to give people an idea of the magnitude of this?
So we usually, this is something we're actually growing on this year, because we would like to be able to rescue more at one time, but we usually try to rescue 2 to 3 at a time, because when they get here, they have to go into our quarantine pasture. And with that comes a lot of vet bills because they're always sick. So we always do 3 at a time. And then when they move out of the quarantine pasture, so that they don't get any other horses sick, they'll move into one of our herds. We have about 3 herds right now, depending on their personalities. And then we'll bring in, 2 or 3 more into the quarantine pasture.
I love that you're taking those measures, because a lot of folks don't realize how important the quarantine is. And especially when animals like horses or dogs that go to rescues, like you said, they often get sick, they're stressed. And when they finally get to an environment, they're yet again in another new environment that's stressing them out, and they don't realize, the threat that it poses to the horses that you have on your farm already.
Yes, and we actually, some of like our last rescue was an Amish workhorse, and when he got to our quarantine pasture, he stayed there like 2 months longer because he felt so safe there that he actually wouldn't leave the pasture. So we had to work on trust exercises every day, and now he'll go anywhere we lead him, but he was like scared that if he left that pasture, he wouldn't go back, I guess.
Wow.
I think it's so cool, Kacy, because I found out about your story from 11 Alive News here in Georgia. Because funny for those who are listening, Kacy is actually in Georgia as well, and I've always wanted to like reach out to another farm here in Georgia, to make friends of farmers. And we saw the story, and me and my mother absolutely fell in love with you and your farm story, and so I had to reach out. But how did you and your mother? Since you run it with your mother, how did y'all get into this? What was the process for y'all getting into doing a rescue and rehabilitation?
Well, so my mom's always had horses. So growing up, since I was 6, we moved out to a farm. We have 100 acres in Canton, and it was all woods. So over the years, we cleared to pastures. Mom built our house because she used to build houses, and we had horses. And then I went to college, got a degree, and when I got out of college, I was like, I'm gonna start a farm, like more than what we already had. And so I got a couple animals, and we were gonna start the petting zoo of sorts, is what my mind was. But it quickly started changing because people would call us and ask us to take in owner surrenders or take in this abused horse. And, we got to the point where we couldn't do it on our own anymore. And I was like, well, I think, this is the direction God's leading us in. So we became a 501c3 nonprofit, and we went full rescue, and, God just always provides. It's so awesome. So I just know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And Mom's right there along with me. She's amazing, and she loves animals. She's the one that gave me my love for animals, but we laugh about it all the time because I'm like, didn't you think you'd want to retire? And now I'm like, now we got like 5 times as many animals, and we're constantly working.
And
Oh, sorry, Alicia. I was just going to say, with all the animals that you rescue, and I'm going to talk about it more in the show, but you're an artist also. Like you
A little.
We mentioned in your intro that you work in music entertainment, which is so cool, so cool. I think, especially from all of us farmers here on the panel that are YouTubers, so we feel like we're artist in our way too.
Yeah.
But you also have a coloring book, y'all. For those that don't see it or listening back to on a podcast, I'll have the link in our description box. But it is a coloring book of all of the animals that are been rescued on your farm, which I just think is so freaking cool. And y'all know that I had to go ahead and get me one. It is on Amazon. Again, we'll leave the link. Moderators, if you can drop that link. The proceeds go back to this fabulous farm, and you get to color. Win.
And come meet them. Come take a tour and meet them.
oh, Kacy, you need to do that. You need to go
Oh,
visit the farm and go see all the animals.
I'm so there. I told Kacy, I said, after the show, we're going to talk and set something up. And I may do a on-site location interview for the hay bale. So stay tuned.
Great. Kacy M, watch him though. Check his pockets when he leaves. He's got the hankering so bad for farm animals. You're going to have to watch him.
He might
But
put away.
Yeah, I'll put some horses in my pockets.
Them some
Watch
big
out
pockets.
for the baby chicks.
Yes. But I think you're more than just horses and donkeys. You have other animals there on the farm as well. As Kacy was flipping through the book, we saw some of your artistry of the horses, but what else do you have there on your farm?
So we have horses, donkeys, cows, alpacas, goats, sheep, pigs, rabbits, tortoises, chickens. I feel like cats, dogs. I think that's all. Birds. Yeah, we have a lot. We have like over 60 animals right now, but we do like photo shoots and things with them too, which is really fun. Like our alpaca is booked a year in advance every year because she is superbly friendly for an alpaca. So she does photo shoots every weekend in March. She's booked.
Wow.
That's the coolest thing, actually. It was funny because I was going to ask about all the other animals you have. So what are you rescuing all the other animals beyond horses and donkeys, or what do you do with, how did you get, or what do you do with the other animals on your farm?
So oddly enough, we do. My heart is with horses and donkeys, but I mean, I love all animals. And just the past few months, we adopted out 2 milk cows that we rescued from a situation, and then 3 guinea pigs and 2 African tortoises, which is funny because I have my African tortoise that's 60 pounds. His name's Ringo, and we love him. And I didn't ever think that I'd ever even see another African tortoise, but lo and behold, we had 2 African tortoise surrenders this year and adopted them both out. So yeah, we rescue all animals. But the alpacas were actually right when I got out of college. I had two of them, and that was kind of like this weird thing that I was like, I really really want an alpaca. So I drove to an alpaca farm and got 2 alpacas, and so they'll be with me their whole life. But I've yet to rescue an alpaca.
That's pretty cool though. So the alpacas are yours, and then
Mhm.
the rest of your animals that you care for are ones that you are willing to rehome or adopt out if they need to.
Some of them. So some of them
Okay.
just end up sanctuary here, and, like, my
Yeah.
heart gets so attached to them that I think that all animals do deserve, like, a person that's, their special person. But
Sure.
some of the horses that come here, like our Amish workhorse we just got, like, I don't think it'll ever be fair to him to go somewhere else. Like, he is so happy now, and he's been through so much that, like, I'm just like, he's gonna be a sanctuary horse here. Like, I'm not putting him through that. But, some animals we get, they have so much life ahead of them, and they deserve to have that special little girl or special family that loves them. So it goes both ways. There's horses that'll be here forever and animals, and then there's animals that do find their forever home. And once they get there, I'm like, okay, they're safe, they're in a good place. But it always goes through my head. I'm like, am I really gonna adopt this animal out?
That's cool. That's cool that you can see that too, because I think that takes a lot. We have animals here on our farm and we're not a rescue, but you can see we have bunnies that we raise for other purposes. But we also have bunnies that we know that are super special, that are beyond just a regular bunny on our farm. And so, for instance, we have a couple now that are super friendly. And my daughter's like, Mom, this is like a pet. This bunny is a pet for sure. And the way that, he or she right now, we're not sure if it's a boy or girl, behaves. My daughter's like, we can't, this has to be a pet. So this bunny is for sure going to be a pet somewhere. And it's cool because I can see that she acknowledges that she knows that this one has a little bit more oomph in it. And
Yeah, I get it.
it deserves to be a pet somewhere. So anyway, but yeah, that's cool though.
I wanted to go ahead and say that we're going to try the struggle bus one more time because we just couldn't get enough. And we're going to try and learn a little bit more of Kacy Montana of WarAngel Farms.
Hey there, so my name is Kacy and I run WarAngel Farms Rescue and Rehabilitation. Me and my mom run it together and we specialize in equine farm animal rescues, specifically horses and donkeys from the kill pen. We try to save them out of the slaughter pipeline, and I'm going to show you all around, so here we go. So some of the things that we do around the farm is we do private tours where you get to meet all these animals and the horses. We also do summer camps, which is a great way to get kids involved. We also have our coloring book, which has all these animals and all the horses you meet at the farm. So no matter what reason you come to the farm, you'll always get to meet alpacas, goats, sheep, donkey, horses, pigs, and of course any new rescues that we have at the moment. So this little boy is Charlie Brown, and he's very feisty. He's a little stud muffin. We got him out of the kill pen the day before Thanksgiving, and he was just a tiny baby. We don't know if his mom died at the kill pen or beforehand. They wouldn't tell us, but all we know is he was very sick. He had a fever, a runny nose. He couldn't run because his legs, he had something called sticky stifles from being confined for so long. And he was just so sick. And now he is just a wild man, and he's in little photo shoots all the time with little kids. And he's just spoiled rotten, and we love him. And he'll be a year old this month. So we're very excited to have him here at the farm. And he goes in the house. So we might make him a therapy pony. We haven't decided yet. He's got to calm down some. I love you. So this is Rumor and Jubilee, and Rumor is one of our Kilpin mares. We got her from the Kansas Kilpin in February. She's one of many heavily bred mares that are in the Kilpin. A lot of the mares in the foals either don't make it or their foals don't make it. So we're very thankful because we had a lot of prayers over little Jubilee. And that Rumor gave birth. Rumor's doing great now. She's gained a bunch of weight. She's such a good girl. We didn't know anything about her, and she's just exceeded our expectations, and we're so thankful for little Jubilee. Curtis, and that's Willie. We got Curtis, Willie, and their brother Hank 2 weeks ago from the North Texas Kilpin. When they arrived, a common thing that a lot of horses and donkeys have is pneumonia because they're not treated in the best conditions. So unfortunately, Hank did not make it. Even though we tried really hard, we were sad about that. Curtis is still fighting pneumonia. He's better. And then Willie is healthy as of right now, which is great. So right now he gets treated every day, and we're trying to clear up his pneumonia and keep him eating. Anyways, so their long ears, see if they're such good donkeys. They do not like flies in their ears. So, oh, that was my bad. Okay. There you go. Willie loves his fly mask. So we are so thankful to be stewards of God's creation while we're here on this earth. We wouldn't want to do anything else. We love what we do. And if you'd like to see a transformation video of some of the horses that we've brought here, from when they arrived from the Kilpin in bad shape to taking off their Kilpin numbers to the healthy versions of themselves today, then please check out the video following this. And thanks for watching.
Finally, we got the video up. So thank you for everyone's patience. That was a great video. I love seeing donkeys. See, as Alicia said, Kacy, now I'm going to want a donkey. So thank you. So,
donkeys are the best.
I'm going to be having like 40 animals move in with me when I finally move on to the farm. Huh?
Adopt some from me.
I was getting ready to say that. You just need to go visit and find the right donkey for you. See, then you can have Kacy kind of guide you in that, and you're not overdoing it. New farm Kacy.
Well, see, Kacy WarAngel Farm and Susan, mom, Ormsby Farm, are like the same person. So we would probably end up with 900 of Kacy's animals moving over to Ormsby Farm. So I have to keep Susan, mom, Ormsby Farm on a leash sometimes with adopting animals.
See, you have to remember, Kacy, with the right person that is in charge of those animals originally, you won't be allowed to take more than you can handle home, because the right steward of God's animals won't sell or give or gift or whatever more than they know that person. Because when you have animals, it's your responsibility to, even when you sell them, it's your responsibility to kind of do a little bit of background and know that you're selling to a person. Because even just the other day, we had let go 4 of our pigs. And before we, traded our pigs, we bartered for hay. And before we let our pigs go, it was important for me to know that the gentleman knew about pigs. He knew what he was going to do with them. He had a plan in mind, and he had the proper fencing. Because in the past, unfortunately, I have made the mistake of selling pigs to people, and they weren't prepared, and the pigs got out. And so that's my responsibility as a good farmer and a good steward of God's animals to make sure that you don't. So see, you could go to her place safely because you know you're not going to leave there with 850 animals. You leave there with 1 or 2 because you won't
just
pace
leave
yourself.
with 825.
No, 1 or 2 because you won't pace yourself.
That's so true what you said, though. We are so like strict about our adoption contract because, you know, as y'all know, I'm sure too, being on a farm, animals or not, you're constantly learning. And, you know, I could tell you everything there is to know about horses, and then a new one will come and still blow my mind on something new. So I am always there for anyone that adopts from us. I get questions all the time, especially about like the exotics, like the tortoises. And I just make sure they know that they can always contact me and that they do have the right fencing and feeding and things like that. And I think when you have an adopter that goes the extra mile and really proves to you that they've done everything that you said they need to do, it makes me feel better that they'll give them the care they deserve.
Yeah. And that's
it's
important.
not just about love. You know what I mean? Like we could all give all the love. That's the easy part, right? It's all about the care. And I always say the love is also the care, right? So, you know, keeping them safe, keeping them healthy, making sure they get what they need.
That's right.
Yeah. And a lot of times it does extend after the transaction, if you will, is over. You know, after the person takes it. One of the things that we try to do when we sell our cattle or any of our animals is we check in with that person later. You know, unfortunately, we got a couple blue heelers, too many at the time, and they were great, and we realized they started struggling as sisters. They started fighting, and it wasn't a safe place for them both to be here at our farm. And we had them for years, and it got worse and worse as they got older. And so we found a nice home for the one sister, and even to this day, 2 years later, I check in all the time because I want to make sure she's okay. And I've told the lady, look, if at any point you can't handle her, you're not prepared, you can't, you know, she's not right for your farm or your family, you just let me know. We'll take her back and we'll do what we need to do because she's been our responsibility. And, you know, we want to make sure that she's cared for. So, you know, I appreciate that part about what you're doing too, because I'm sure that once they come in there, they don't leave very easily.
No.
You know?
And they never leave my heart or my mind. Like you said, I'm always like, okay, you know, like they sign a contract, but if they ever have to come back here, I know that right now, if all the people that adopted animals had to bring their animals back, they're my responsibility because they were at the beginning and they always will be.
Exactly. And that's important part of, you know, who you are as well. And you can see that in your conversation and what your farm represents. And it's a cool thing because that means that people feel safe surrendering their animals to you. And sometimes people do have a hard time surrendering animals. And I think that's something that people forget about. They think that, oh, well, they just were surrendered. I've watched people take their animals to auction and be devastated that they had to do it. But there were no other options. It's not just like people are, you know, grabbing the horses or grabbing the cows by the, you know, harnesses and saying, get in there. You know, we're just wanting to make a buck. Because when you take your animal to auction, you're not making that much money.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's just unfortunate.
Yeah. And you know, I always try to be kind about owner surrenders because they are doing the right thing. They're trying to find a good home without going to those measures like an auction. And we actually got an owner surrender yesterday, a donkey. Fred Flintstone is his name. He's so cute, but his owner had passed away, and so the daughter was trying to find a home for him. So the donkey was very loved his whole life, had never left that pasture. So he's, you know, it's been a big change for him, but they did the right thing. You know, they were trying to find someone that would love him like his owner loved him.
Exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You saw Diesel earlier, and the name of our farm, it was Yogi Hollow Farm, and that's because we had Yogi, who was an owner surrender. And he was also a bulldog, like an old English bulldog like Diesel. And, you know, it's so true. You were talking about, to me, it takes a lot of, I don't know the right word for it, but it's a lot of heartache, but it is the responsible thing to do to be able to surrender your animal and make sure they get where they need to be. I know for Yogi went through a lot of channels when he was surrendered. And thankfully, due to organizations like yourself, he ended up at a humane society because he originally went to a pound. And they had built that relationship with the Humane Society. Whereas Diesel, I was able to work directly with them, the owner. So that was a good thing. Do you have any mini donkeys over there?
I do. We have one mini donkey and one like half mini donkey. And it's funny because they're all loud, but the big ones are so much louder. I can hear them. They're like, we put them in something we call the donkey pasture, and we actually put them where we had a lot of coyotes in the past so that they can help with that situation. But in the mornings, if I'm late for breakfast, I can hear them as if they're sitting on the front porch. I mean, it's just like, it like blows your eardrums.
I remember when I was first talking about getting donkeys here on the farm, I had several people send up the warnings. Oh, they're so loud. You're not going to like it. I love it.
Me
Little
too.
CJ, our Captain Jack, he's a mini. He has his little sing song every day, and I absolutely love it. So, but it's something for people to consider. These animals do have other attributes that you need to take into consideration if you're going to think about adopting them. If something like that at 7 in the morning is going to upset you, maybe a mini donkey is not for you, but I love them. I absolutely
Me
love
too.
them. And I'll share with you real quick, Kacy, one of the most touching rehomes of my experience was we had a donkey that was brought over by our vet, and she had been abandoned. She was originally from the Grand Canyon. She was a Bureau of Land Management adoption, and
Wow.
we had her here till her final day. And that was just something I had always wanted, was to get a Bureau of Land Management donkey. And she was from the Grand Canyon. And when she passed, I was brokenhearted. And the vet said, she was around when LBJ was president. So don't feel bad. She had a long, healthy life, and she had love when she was here. But I thought you'd really appreciate knowing, that a BLM rescue donkey from the Grand Canyon was here. It was so amazing. And I just
That's
love them.
That's amazing that you did that. We love the BLMs. We have 2 BLM Mustangs that have been here their whole life, and we have 2 reservation Mustangs coming next month, 2 babies that got rounded up illegally. So that's interesting. But there is a lot of roundups going on right now, and a lot of people don't give BLM horses or bureaus a chance, but they're really they're tough, they're strong, and once you make that connection with them, they make great pets just like anything else. So it just takes a little extra time to get them, but that's awesome.
Absolutely. It does take time. And they have trust issues, and also they're feral, but
Yeah.
it's a wonderful thing. And I'm just so enamored. I wrote the group here last night, and I said, this is my story, and just don't fret if I get a little bit off kilter here during the chat today, because it touches my heart so much, because I can relate to it so much that I'm going to do my best not to get weepy and get on a soapbox.
I never did get into any rescues that I know of, but I grew up riding horses in horse shows, and my dad also had Belgium mares, and he would hook them up to old horse wagons, and we would ride the church kids around the fields back behind my parents' house. And then he also owned a couple of mules when I was younger, and he would actually plow all of our gardens and stuff with them.
That's
and that
awesome.
was their exercise, and kept them as workhorses and stuff like that. And he also had a couple of, I think they were mules at the time, but we loaned them out to an Amish family that's about an hour and a half away from here. And we loaned them out because their animals had passed, and they were on the verge of losing their family land because they couldn't work it to make any money. And so he loaned out a set of mules for that season for the Amish family to be able to work their land and be able to keep their, the land and make their money that they need to. And I thought that was pretty cool, because this past summer, I actually took my kids up to the Amish family that we had did that for, and they're still there. The older parents have died, but the younger ones that were my age, that was on the verge of losing their land, is still there, and they actually have a market and stuff open up to the public. And so I thought that was really cool, that they're still able to be there, and that I could take my kids up there and show them, that at one point, our family had helped their family to be able to do this and continue their legacy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that is really great. And there's so much we want to learn about you and your farm, Kacy, and your rescue and rehabilitation. We don't want to keep you all day long, though. So we do want to tell everybody to find out more information on WarAngel Farm. Make sure you check out the QR code in the corner and give back today. Help them if you can. It really is a great cause. And I'm hoping we'll be able to have Kacy up again because there's so much more we need to learn. But again, her time is important. Thank you so much, Kacy, for joining us here on the Hay Bale. We hope you'll come back.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you, Kacy. Yeah?
Thank
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
And be sure to follow Kacy on social media at WarAngel Farms on Instagram and Facebook. But y'all, not only is today Valentine's Day, but even more excitingly, it is International Give a Book Day. Now, we've talked about this before on the homestead, or on the podcast, about homesteading books and, having copies of the book if the internet was to go down and all that kind of stuff. But we wanted to dive in a little bit more of our favorite books that we like.
Who's next?
Also, remember, you can always find these links to the books that we talk about through the QR code and in the show notes below.
So who has some favorite books that are like a must-have on their homestead?
I love books. All books are a must-have for me. But one of the ones that I love is The Backyard Homestead, because it's all about information, but also all about efficient use of land, which is what I love. And it's an awesome book. It has diagrams of how to set things up on a very small, and I'm going to put it up as soon as I get to the page, how to set up very small homesteads and so on. Just take my word for it. It's an awesome book. Awesome, awesome book. The other one I've been delving into is, as we get ready, we're on Heat Watch with the pigs. And it's our first time. It's a stories guide to raising pigs. It is not specific to my breed. However, I do have information specific to my breed here as well, but really loving this book. So this one's even got nice pictures too.
Ooh, pictures.
But yeah, absolutely loving it. This is just a really good set of books that we've been referencing. We have a ton more just because I'm a book hoarder, and there's nothing like a real book for me.
We call it a keeper around here. Okay. We don't say the word hoarding. It's a keeper. You're a keeper of books. And that's a good thing, because here's the thing. If something happens and you don't have internet, all you have is, you have no internet left. What do? You have to go to your books. So based upon the stories guide, which is what she showed, I have the raising pigs. I have the raising rabbits. We also have the raising cows. We have almost all the different animals we have. And that's because the stories guide, which is what she just showed, the stories guide is they have a bunch of them. If you look down here, they have all the different animals, and the stories guide is a really good book to have. If you have animals on your farm, grab the stories guide too. It's it's like a real basic, broad book guide. We really like those overall. I just have a lot of gardening books, and I kind of absorb all of those things. If I see it, I'm like, I got to have that one. But I will say the stories guide. Another helpful book to have is if you are going to have a specific breed, go look for a breed specific book. Maybe they can help you. But again, I reference books are great, but hands-on experience is the best. Just saying. Agreed.
And the other thing was Ryan used to process and butcher animals all the time when he was younger, and it had been many years since he had done it. And we did get a book that I don't have on hand. I can give the information to Kacy after, but it was all about processing animals, and it was one that Living Traditions had recommended. And so Ryan went through that book just as a refresher before we started processing again. And it was really helpful because there were simple little things, it's like riding a bike, but there was like that one crucial little thing when you're processing a chicken to not contaminate the meat. He had to remind himself of, because it had been so long.
And not only like with raising animal books, but I know I have talked about it before. I think when we had Gray Man on the show, I talked about it, but the Encyclopedia of Country Living. She's a biggin. She's a biggin, but she has a lot of information on random stuff around the homestead. Not only just for raising animals, but carpentry, plumbing. I think there's a little bit of electrical in here too. Seed saving, breads. There's bread, not really recipes, but guides on how to make homemade bread. So I always recommend this. When people ask, the Encyclopedia of Country Living is a must-have. And again, for those that are just joining in the chat, I see some people have joined in. We will have links in the bio box for all the books that we talk about. Anybody else?
It's been brought up in the chat, a really great book series that I personally have been looking for. I was introduced to them when I was a teenager, and I thought, what's the big deal about these Foxfire books? But I knew a family that had them, and they relied on them so heavily, and I've been checking the thrift stores, to try to find them, and I can't find them. But I wanted to point out that, and there won't be links to my books, but one thing that I love to have here on the farm is I do love to hit up the little thrift stores and get the little cookbooks that are area specific. Some of the church ladies put them out, and I think it's a great part of the history and the heritage of where you live. But they have recipes, like you were saying, you're not going to have the internet for some of these recipes. They have recipes that are going to get you through some hard times if you don't have internet. You can just pull it down off the shelf, look up a recipe. This book here was purchased for me by my mother, which I didn't mention earlier. And I teared up a little bit when Kacy said it was Valentine's Day. Today would have been my mother's 88th birthday. So happy birthday to my mama. But she bought this for me when I was about 12. And I knew some of the old women that put recipes in this book. They were part of my childhood. And I actually did a pie crust recipe out of this book from a woman who arrived at her home in a covered wagon when she was a little girl. So, not only are they informational, but they're historical, and they end up in the thrift stores and for $0.25 a piece. So, get yourself some of these little cookbooks, keep them on hand so that you have reference for some recipes when you're not going to have the internet for some of those good old fashioned things that are going to get you through times on the homestead. And some of them, have the canning recipes of old and some of the ways that they put their food up. And so it's important to have those. So you won't find the QR codes for them, but, keep an eye out at the thrift stores and treat yourself every once in a while. $0.25 here, 50 cents there, to a little bit of your local heritage.
Well, before Stephen was on YouTube and you guys knew him, before he went to college, he worked in a book factory, and he at first he packaged the books for the authors and would send them out to their shows. And then he got promoted to supervisor and was able to get his hands on a few different books. But this was before we actually lived here and had our little homestead here up and running. And it's kind of odd that he got these books even back then. This was probably 5 or 6 years ago. And even back then, these are the books that he came across. So Kacy's got the encyclopedia, but I've got the Back to Basics book. So this book, it goes over so many of the processes that people need on their homestead. This starts out in actually talking about buying land, what to look for, and then it talks about solar power. It talks about how to harvest wood, how to grow a garden. It touches on the basics on particular animals, how to raise them, what they need in their diets, and the fencing, and how to preserve food, and homesteading skills and crafts. And it touches on herbs and medicinals and stuff like that. So this book right here, this is the 3rd edition, but it touches on a little bit of everything, and this is a good book to get you started. I also have another book in my prepper library or homesteading library that talks about building infrastructure for your animals and how to build different ideas on what you may need for your animals. And then, of course, my favorite that I have fallen in love with the last couple of years is The Lost Book of Herbal Remedies by Dr. Nicola Palin. This right here has been my godsend book for all things on the homestead, from growing it to foraging it to making medicines with it and taking care of my family. This is what really got me started into learning about the products and such that I'm making. And then, of course, the follow-up to that book is The Forager's Guide to Wild Foods. This goes even deeper from the first book, this one. It goes even deeper and talks about this one breaks it down between herbs and trees and berries and different things, that a lot of stuff you can plant and a lot of stuff that is very common. This goes even deeper into what you may not can grow yourself, what's going to be specific to a certain area. And Kacy, I thought about you the other day. We had talked about this. And let me show you in this one, if you'll make me big one more time. In this book, this is the Forager's Guide. One thing I thought was really cool is that if you look right here, it has a map of the United States, and it shows you specifically what area that the certain plant or certain flower or herb or whatever is grown. And so I noticed in here, there's a couple of them in here that we do have in our area, but it didn't show it. But it's just a common general area where they are native to. And see, like cattails right here, this is my favorite, and they're grown all over the United States and Canada. And so this one I thought was really cool because it's more area specific. If you are wanting to get out and actually go learn and forage for what may be in your area.
Kacy, I've eaten cattails in a survival class. So you can't eat cattails. You eat the stem. It's almost like cutting it up like a green onion, almost like. I want to know, Kacy, have you ever eaten purslane?
I have it to grow this year because I can't find it. But I did order seeds, and that's actually going to be one of my next herbs that I put in my medicinal garden to grow for my family and friends. And I have seen it. I've never eaten it. But whenever I go to look for it, I can't find it around here because we live in an area that has so many fields around here in West Tennessee. I mean, we're a crop production part of the state, and everything gets sprayed with chemicals because of the commercial fields. And so we've lost a lot of that. But these books are good for myself because, as you guys know, we have a cabin now up at the Tennessee River. And I can use these books to take with me and forage for things up there because they don't crop spray or dust or anything up there because they don't have the crops like we do here. And so I can find all of these things up there whenever we go to the cabin, but I just can't find them here. So I'm excited to see what else I can learn this year using my new books I got.
Well, if you ever need purslane, it's all in my driveway. We have purslane. It's like a weed out here, but I've not been brave enough yet to go out and pluck some and put it in a salad, but maybe this year I'll do that. Maybe I'll do a purslane challenge and stick it in a salad.
Very nutrient dense, and it is in this book. And it's in alphabetical order, and that's what's so nice about it. I can find it pretty easily. Here it is, purslane. Right there. And in this book, The Forager's Guide, it tells you how to identify it. It tells you that it's edible and what parts of the plant to eat, what you can do with the flowers, what you can do with the leaves, what you can do with the stems, what you can do with the roots. And then as it goes on through the book, it tells you what the medicinal side of it is. And it does give a couple of pictures of each thing. And in each, there's a category, like here's diabetes, here's fungal infections. It tells why it helps those things and what's the best thing to use it for. So yeah, there's a section on here, diabetes for purslane.
Mm,
And there's
I
a
might
recipe.
have to look into that.
There's a recipe here, and it also gives a warning. Purslane is considered safe to eat in large quantities without any side effects. So that's pretty good there too.
I'm going to have to get my purslane on. Well, guys, if you're enjoying the topics here on Round the Hay Bale, be sure to scan the QR code on the screen to download previous episodes and so much more.
Also, learn more about our sponsor for the Hay Bale, American Crafted Catalog, which began with one simple question: is there a place to buy goods online from small farms and homesteads?
And the innocent question came from Brandy from Farm and Animals, and by the end of the day, the homesteading community was at work.
The ACC believe that working together as a community gives us a louder voice in the marketplace, and they are delighted to bring you the first edition of the catalog. For more information on the American Crafted Catalog, visit the QR code on the screen.
We also have a sponsor from mysoiltesting.com.
My Soil Test Kit is a start-to-finish solution for the DIY and professional community. Their team has successfully combined predictive soil testing technologies
with an easy-to-use customer experience that assists in improving soil and plant health while effortlessly guiding sustainable practices. Their goal is to guide users in perfecting their soil to grow the healthiest plants possible.
To grab one of your own at-home soil tests, go to www.mysoiltesting.com.
And use the promo code MySoil22 for 10% off of your kit.
Be sure to scan the QR code to find out all about the events that we all have going on.
Oh, also, make sure to catch up on all the previous episodes on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Spotify.
Next week on the Hay Bale, we have one of the creators of the American Crafted Catalog, Nikki of 5 Dog Farms.
And next week will be our last live episode of our first season of Round the Hay Bale. We will be chatting with Nikki about the magazine and pretty much homesteading in general.
But our episodes will be on rerun all through March before the second season is released. Now, season 2, we will be pre-recording our podcast and releasing them on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Spotify every Monday starting in April. You'll be able to watch our episode teasers every Monday on YouTube.
All righty, friends. Thanks again for stopping by the Hay Bale. Thanks again to Kacy from WarAngel Farms for joining us. And be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to join us every week.
Bye, y'all. Bye.
Friends.
Bye.
Bye.